Hey everybody, we're in London Mayfair, 37 Davies Street, in the new store of Yevgeny Chichvarkin called Hedonism Wines. Hi Evgeny. Hi there. Well, first of all, 37 doesn't mean 37, it means buildings from 3 to 7. From 3 to 7, excellent. Evgeny, why did you pick up London as a place of your new store? London is the world capital, and Mayfair is the heart of this capital. And right now we're in the central part of this heart, so you can go more central than we did. It's a sort of the natural address of crossroads, of all the customers that we might have. Why did I choose wine store? Well, because myself, I like wine. I can spend an hour in a good wine store. I enjoy different wine tastes. I enjoy talking to the salespeople, to different sommelier if they're interested in it. Also, it appeared to us that while some of the market niche might be already taken, there is still some opportunities on the upmarket. When it comes to the middle class wine, it's easier to buy it and the service is way better than the one on the top market, if you want. So eventually, at some point, I just come up with this idea of creating the best wine shop in the world. And after 2 years of hard work, nerves, efforts, and immense costs, we finally did it. How many items you currently have? 6,000. Do you sell only wine or something else? We sell wine, we sell all types of strong drinks that can possibly exist. All of them. We don't sell beer at this moment. But then again, when it comes to some interesting types of it, let's say Belgian beer, well, we're not sure. We'll see. We sell well-made products, something that tastes good, something that is not an economic or chemical attack on the market to get more marketplace. You know, those stuff that made from powder with a lemon acid in it. Different chemical stuff. You know what I mean, you can always find those things in the supermarkets. Artificial beverages. Yes, those beverages, they do tend to have alcohol. What's your favorite wine? I like the New World. Our head buyer at the store, Alistair Weiner, says that I got a distorted taste. I like Shiraz, Cabernet Sauvignon, Malbec, Grenache, from the New World. Big, sweet-scented sort of wines, robust. I don't understand Merlot. I don't drink champagne, I don't drink white wine. I can sip one or two, just to be polite. What's the price range of your drinks here? I heard that you got a bottle of Glenfiddich that costs about 123,000 pounds? 6 million rubles. 6 million rubles. Yes, 123,000. That's because it's rare. Number 1 among 8 produced. When it comes to the price range, with just one bottle, 12 pounds for a bottle of white wine, 600 rubles, 15 pounds for a red wine, 700 rubles. What was the process of opening a store here like, from searching a place to official opening? How hard it was? It took about half a year. Almost every day we used to cover the Golden Mile. We assessed every single building. All those buildings for a rent or for a sale, we consider them all. Even those options that satisfied our requirements only on 50%. So once we assessed pretty much all the options around, it was a new year 2011. After half a year of search, and 3 months of everyday search. We saw this advertisement here. The next day we stepped in, arranged an appointment with an agent, and the very next day we struck the deal. We agreed for this store. It took us 9 months to settle the agreement, since our landlord, the big company with a substantial legal stuff. So this file exchange and the email exchange took us about 9 months. Then another 2 months for the refurbishment inside the building, getting rid of the asbestos, and about 7-8 months for the construction work. So overall, on the 14th anniversary of the Russian default crisis in 1998, we open up this store. Now imagine you want to open a store in Moscow. Let's say you like some building in central part of Moscow. You like to rent to open up a store here. Would it be harder than here in London in terms of bureaucracy? When I wanted to get a central telegraph, the negotiation took me about 4 years. That was the longest process ever. That was a matter of principle. I just wanted this place a lot. Yes, we did face some long cases when the agreement used to take us for 3 years or so. When it comes to the agreement itself, no, we didn't have anything like this before. The longest one was about 1.5 months or 2 months with IKEA. They had this big agreement to sign. It was a really weird one, with all the details. For instance, they could just say, you know, you guys don't have any rights and we got all the rights left. But they decided to go to the most meticulous way. The northern people. I mean those. Anyway, I'm kidding. They're wonderful. Just the agreement was too detailed. So, when it comes to construction works, we can be compared with a Virtu store. They used English workers. If we did, well, we never did anything like this. It was so complicated in terms of the quality of the materials, in terms of the design. We never did anything like this. Even Virtu store spent 9 months for its construction work, and we were sure that there was some mutiny. I must say they were lucky enough because it were English workers. If it came to Vlaskin's agents, we would kidnap and torture them in the yard for such a time and money loss. Luckily it didn't happen. When it comes to selection process, do you do it yourself or you delegate it to someone else to choose the drinks for your store? 99% of the work is done by our buyers. Alistair Weiner buys all the wine, while Toby Cutler buys all the other stronger drinks. Well, sometimes my decisions, they don't take more than 1%. I know some things. I tried some things before. And sometimes Russian-speaking audience asks what I think about certain drinks. And I can for sure say, this is tasty, this is good. And if I'm sure in something, I can say, yes, we go for it. So Alistair Winans, if he says no, then we don't buy it. He came from Harrods, right? Harrods is an exclusive store for those one who don't know. Is it necessary to say? We could cut it. Are we being broadcasted right now in North Korea? No, Northern Russia right now. So did you lure Alistair somehow, or he came himself to work for you as a specialist? Everybody brings himself and thanks himself, as the phrase goes. Well, of course, we had to ask him to persuade. What became his biggest reason to work for you? Well, it's better to ask him. Maybe our approach. You know, no one gonna interfere in his work. When I run a company, I always try. I try, not necessarily manage to do it all the time, but I try to come up with the best team and not interfere in their work. It's better to work with the best people because they know what to do themselves. You don't have to do anything. The best people, they click to each other and you don't disturb their work. Who is your main client? The main client will be someone from the financial area where we are located. Mayfair is a part of the financial area. And there are many banks and hedge funds around. Many people in suits and blue shirts. They're quite tall with loud voices. As a rule, they come here after work to have a glass of wine and discuss their things, the weather, the politics. So I would say those confident people with a good income. So this is the type of the main client we target. Some Hollywood celebrities come here. They've been here, yes. Obviously, I'm the main investor in the store, so that's why there are many people from my homeland coming here. I know them and I invited them. So yes, Russians, there are many Russian clients. Surprisingly, many Italians, they come here, those gorgeous Italian men, and make some serious purchases. We have some humble-looking Chinese customers. They come here from the continental China and make some really serious purchases. They know for sure that what they want and they buy it. Very serious purchases. Just today we had one guy from Korea who bought Cabernet Sauvignon that I was thinking actually, you know, maybe to sell it closer to Christmas time, New Year, you know. But it happened now. Yes, it happened now. What was the most expensive purchase? Total or per one bottle? Per one bottle. How much did someone pay for one bottle? Let me tell you about not the biggest one, but about most beautiful from the biggest. It was 60-year-old Macallan in a special package, which cost about £15,000. 15 and a half. Now you translate it into Russian rubles. How much is that? 750. Yeah, right. So speaking about those buyers, 15,400. How much? 650. So those purchases, do they go for a collection, some private collection, or elsewhere? It's all the present. Yes, the present. What's your main mission at the moment? Do you plan to open other stores of hedonist wines, or focus on this place? Everybody got his own pyramid of needs and pyramid of priorities. Imagine I wanna go to some restaurant, let's call it X restaurant. I give a call to this place and they say we're fully booked, sorry. Then I think that alright, the next one should be Y restaurant. I call them and they say, sorry, we're fully booked, or we have an event or something else. So if those two booked, I will go to a third one. So this same pyramid for everything. Imagine, for instance, we want to play football. I prefer Nike shoes. If I don't have those ones, I will go for Reebok, and so on and so forth, doesn't matter. So we intend to make as many people as possible to create this public opinion that we are number one on the market. That's our main ambition right now. Do you plan to open stores like this in other cities in the country? No. You want to stay here? Yes. He's the only one, as it goes. Sorry, Oleg. Hi to Oleg Tinkov. Oleg Tinkov was here the other day. He said that's a great store, but it's not a business, it's more of a toy. No, Oleg. This is business, and a very beautiful one. Your business is huge. We are not huge, but we're very beautiful as well. When he talked to us, he promised that he'll visit your place and make some very expensive purchase. Did he do this? Yes, he did. What did he buy? I'm not sure he wants to reveal this information. Alright? I think he tweeted it. So you can check his Twitter. Alright, we'll check the Twitter of Oleg Tinkov. The question is, he got a good taste. A good taste, alright. Alright, he'll recommend your store then. What kind of managerial system you apply here? Do you use your past experience when you created the biggest chain of mobile stores? The system of management when only 22 people in the team is the following. We have the office with the buyers, people in charge for logistics, accountants, and someone who's a sort of assistant to the buyers. There's a store with a senior manager and also his deputy. So if a senior manager is away on holidays or just can't make it, the deputy, fulfills his responsibilities. And we also have our CEO, Tatiana Fokina. She manages every process. She's in charge of sort of general management of the store. She does the main duties. Speaking more about the management system, I read a lot about Yevgeny that you managed before, and you had this remuneration system, when the laziest one would earn times less than the most active, or the dumbest one would earn much less than the smartest. Could you expand on that? Well, our salary was not based on the IQ test. It was based on the sales volume more. And the activity can be different as well. Imagine a mouth with a claustrophobia in a barrel. It would move a lot. So a useful activity. Well, the one that brings sales. In Yevgeny it all depended on the sales, its volume. While here it's more righteous. Oh, that's an awful word, let's replace it. It's a fair scheme that will take place once the store is operating on its full extent. We share the profit with everyone who works. Very simple. We're not gonna go back to Sadko times. I killed the deer, you sold the deer, and we split the profit evenly. Fraternity? Not at all. Remuneration? A fair remuneration? A fair distribution of the profit? No fraternity here, we don't need those socialistic ideas. In this store, at least. No equality, no fraternity. The fair remuneration, but not the righteous ones, if you don't like this word. The fair one. Not remuneration. Sharing a profit in a just way. That's the best way to put it out. So your workers, do they get commission or they work for the salary simply? Well, we just open, it's a probe period. And then we'll see later on. We're just testing right now how everything's going on. We'll see what our performance will be like during the Christmas. I believe that you wouldn't be able to install all your cameras this night here. So we were lucky. The apple wasn't lucky, you were lucky, as it goes. Do you regret that you sold Yevgeny? I regret that I sold it below its value. So it was undervalued, of course. What's the real value? The real value, it's going IPO very soon. It should be at least $2 billion. Did you sell it for 400 million? I'm not gonna reveal this information. Okay. Why did you sell Yevgeny to Alexander Mamut? Because he was the only one ready to pay at that time. What do you think about the future of this company? Will it develop or not? Well, the company has worked on its debts right now and doesn't have much of them. It's way healthier right now. Speaking about the sales, this summer reminds of 2008. So it's just making up. Well, no, it made it up. It made it up. And the number of stores as well, because they reduced it before. Now they increased it, and the business right now is bigger than what it was when we sold the company. In one of your interviews, I think it was 2008, you mentioned that business in Russia jumped back because of the crisis, and for right now, for instance, people they tend to care more about prices, not the quality, and other things. Yeah, that's true. Russia was hit by crisis very severe. Some industries suffered more than others. Retail keeps growing. I don't have the recent data. But before August, Russia was in the recession stage. It was a real recession. So one of the engines, one of the economic triggers was the retail growth, the fact that retail was actually increasing. The production still sucks. Well, it's not that bad, but it's not the same as in Germany, for instance, or in some other countries of Northern Europe. Speaking about the future of Russia and its economy, the next 5 years, what do you think will happen? 17-18 crisis, the end of Putin. Someone else will come, but we can't know who would that be. Do you have any ideas who might step as a new leader? Whoever the new leader will be, people feel tired and want to have the proper law, the one that functions and works for everyone equally. I think it's important. People want to have some justice towards crazy government officials, towards someone from Southern Republics of Russia, I'm not gonna name them all, towards crazy drunk policemen. People feel exhausted that you can't punish someone for their crimes. Did the situation get worse than 10 years ago? With what? With the retail? No, the general situation, the political situation. The political situation keeps degrading. Take, for instance, the last change when they changed Serdyukov for Shoigu. It reminds me something from the Tsar movie. It looks something like that. Half-obsessed state of mind. I would say unstable state of mind of those top government officials. Imagine their elections right now. Who would run for? Well, we don't know who will run the next time. But can you see any potential leaders of the country? When we have not rigged elections, but the fair one, then we can see. Maybe there will be someone. Someone who will take Illarionov as an economic advisor. Those real elections, are they possible in Russia? They'll be fairer. Because they can be less fair. The less fair are those elections that take place in the ex-Soviet Republic on the south. That's a real nonsense there. After the end of Putin's regime, the elections will be fairer. If you consider the last 100 years of Russian history, who do you think was the best leader of the country? I'm gonna voice the unpopular opinion on that matter. It was Yeltsin. Which term, the first or the second? He tried to make the country free. Of course, there was a chaos together with this freedom. At least some people consider it so. And it was true to a great extent. There was a high crime level, but it's just a tiny fraction of crime that is going on right now. So yes, there was a time of great hopes and a time when great companies came into existence. Those companies right now are the best what the country got in terms of the economy. Can you state that those chaotic 90s, they were not chaotic? They could have been chaotic only in St. Petersburg, when Putin used to govern along with his mates. That was the chaos indeed. And now St. Petersburg has grown into a national size. It has expanded. Can you say that 90s in Russia was a heyday of capitalism, the heyday of free market? It was very sick, with those Soviet remnants in it. Yes, it was like a baby, the just born. It's blind, it's trying to find its way. That was the capitalism in Russia. And then the oil price killed it in 1997, 1998. And then later on, the regime of Putin profited a lot from this situation. Within its first 3 years, they used the business ethic that was created prior to that, those business structures. They used the oil money and were more or less safe. And the situation was more or less stable. So if Putin got into some accident in 2003 in the summer, I would probably say that he would be remembered as a real national hero, a real folk hero. He would probably be even remembered as the best president the country has ever had. If Putin left before 2008, I think he would still be remembered as the best national leader, with some drawbacks. With something done not as good as it could be, but still, it's a balance. Right now he got only one way ahead of him. He'll either have everything. Again, he can have some guards around him and be locked in some tower, and stay there as long as he wish, until his death. But then in this case, he won't be placed into history books right now. He won't be remembered as a man who helped Russia to stand from the ground. Not a single chance. Those public protests that we witnessed last year and before that, do they mean something? Can they change anything? This year and later. As long as the oil price is $110 per barrel, the current regime, has enough power to defend itself. Can Putin run for president for the 4th time, like Roosevelt? Well, of course he will. But there are some cycles. There are some economic cycles. The amount of money that country spends, it keeps growing and he can't stop it. This system, this pyramid, exists only because it steals more next year than the previous one. That's why I'm a firm believer that in 2017, 2018, they won't be able to fulfill their social commitments. It will make loads of people angry and they will protest, they will leave their houses, and it won't be just those PhD holders who can throw a stone or, let's say, smash policeman's head. It will be just an ordinary blokes from the suburbs, from their districts. And the negotiation won't take much time. A weapon in the hand, and an attack after the whistle. What's your attitude toward Gorbachev? Bad one. Why? Well, originally it all looked pretty good. He was sort of Russian Deng Xiaoping. And then after all, something like a total loss of control happened. His popularity from 70–80% plummeted to 2%. That's a total loss of understanding of the reality and people. Some say that he could see the situation too in advance, for several decades ahead. If it was so, he would open the borders, he would supply the country with the food, People been crowding for food, they've been smashing each other's faces, they've been killing each other while waiting. Those coupons for food were a disaster. Yet alone the destruction of vineyards. No, there's been lots of Soviet remnants there. I think at the end of the day Gorbachev was lacking some global economic wisdom. And some sense, some intuition that he didn't possess. Yeltsin didn't know the economy too, but he knew for sure that freedom is way better than its absence. His free trade decree eradicated famine in its root. And as a result, services and goods distribution took a completely new way, so-called invisible hand of market, the free market. I like Yeltsin a lot, but the same privatization, if all the members, everybody who took part in it, had the same opportunities and were equal, you know, liberal governments always got problems with the popularization of their own ideas. Because liberal ideas, they need to get popularized, but there's a vicious circle here. Any propaganda doesn't go together with the liberalization. Propaganda never does good for liberal ideas. Speaking about the global business and its practice within the last 8-10 years, what do you think has changed much? Within the last 8-10 years, let me think. It changed a lot in 2008, when this bubble burst. So right now, you know, to win the elections. By the way, I didn't think that Obama can stand any chance to win these elections. I always thought that people, they got a shared memory. They don't remember what happened just recently. They stay too blind. People forget what it means when your house used to cost $2 million and now not more than $120,000. And no one wants to buy it even for that much. But that didn't affect the overall outcome of these elections at all. The self-preservation of American nation has worked out as an instinct. These days, where do you think the most progressive entrepreneurs gonna invest their money? Some particular industries, maybe. Most progressive? Yes, the forward-thinking. More forward-thinking than Brin or Mark Zuckerberg. Yes, or Larry Page, a new formation of entrepreneurs. I mean, we already got internet and we built social networks. What's the next step? I think after a while, those people will be the richest, who'll have the most number of fertile lands. Because the number, it will be important to have some renewable sources of energy or resources, but there is nothing new in it. You've heard it before. Yes, cell phone companies don't cost as much as in the early days. Maybe social networks, they will grow for a while. I think that, yes, non-renewable resources. And solar energy as well. You mean those roofs with the equipment? Yes, exactly. I remember back in 2001, we've been sitting and thinking what will be the coolest stuff in some time later. And after a long brainstorm and a bottle of whiskey, we came to the conclusion that solar panels, solar energy will take its place later. And batteries, in general, when a small element can contain lots of energy in it, and can be easy chargeable. That's gonna put the automobile industry upside down. There are some electric cars, but it's hard to charge them and it takes a lot of time. When you can charge this car very fast, and obviously it's coming very soon. We're gonna witness it very soon. Once the oil per barrel costs more than $200, Those cars will appear everywhere. How about the global problems that the business faces right now? Something really hot and problematic issues for a business. And how to overcome them. The world business. I think all Arab countries will become more rich in the nearest future because of the oil and gas. Russia has a real chance to make a progress if some smart moves are taken, if the country becomes more open, if some really simple laws are followed and applied. It's not hard to attract 10 million of the hard-working, active and most talented people there. Half of them will probably be ex-Russians who are away from the country right now, and the other half will be entrepreneurial foreigners. Or maybe even more than a half. I think if Russia follows the smart moves, if things are done in the right way, if nothing is stolen from the ground as an oil or resources, Russia can be very rich. No one got as much resources per person as Russia. It's a unique country, but I'm afraid that they might screw up everything. Those paranoics. The everlasting question, how come many Russians are so smart and poor at the same time? Not all Russians are so poor. Well, many of them are poor. The Gini coefficient is so high that in another country there would be a possibility of revolution. Well, the Gini coefficient is growing everywhere, even in the United States. Well, that's right. Take a group of children in the kindergarten, explain them a simple math, and then assess the results. You'll see a huge gap between the best and the worst. A huge gap. Why should everyone be the same? That's the way things are. Why everyone should be the same? Well, again, but you just mentioned before about the natural resources and their amounts per one person in Russia. But then GDP per head is still one of the lowest in the world. It's disastrous. What's the reason? In terms of GDP per head, Russia can match United Kingdom easily. 44. Yes. It's not hard. You can do it within several years. If financial markets are open, if the whole country is open for the world. I'm not asking to give away all the lands. Just to become more transparent and open, create the equal opportunities and terms for everyone. For the all market participants, for citizens, for everybody. So everyone can have the same economic and legal responsibility. All those laws, they do exist. To create independent courts and legal system. It's not that damn hard as it seems. Can we expect those changes you mentioned within the next 10 years? If after the fall of Putin's regime, people will go and support liberals and free market opponents, then yes, like it happened in Georgia. I know that you said that the Georgians' reforms, they lead to a huge progress in the country. It's true. The authority. They lost their authority in the most democratic way. Because people got fed up with all that cronyism. Everybody could call to their cousin or brother and change the way things are. It's been like that for centuries, for hundreds of years. All those great deals under the table. I'll scratch your back, you'll scratch mine, sort of a thing, you know? This brotherhood. Not brotherhood, more like a nepotism. Cronyism, they say in this country. You've been living here in the UK for 4 years. Yes, almost 4 years. How close is the state of local capitalism and market to the one described by Ayn Rand in her book Atlas Shrugged? It's a far cry of free capitalism. Taxes are huge here. and everything is regulated so much that you can't even open the window in your house. It's very, very regulated system. It's conserved. The place we live, it's called conservative area, because it's conserved. It's not free capitalism here at all. I mean, obviously there are some purely capitalistic features, but some of them are gone. That's why the most entrepreneurial people fled this country and went to the United States 300 years ago. How about some other states that resemble free capitalism in this way? Georgia used to be one. I don't know where else. Hong Kong? Hong Kong, right. Hong Kong and Singapore. Arab Emirates. Imagine they have a head of the state. A man who comes from God and can decide destinies. Arab Emirates have more freedom. More factors of freedom. I read in one of your articles that you wanted to change the way your store looks in front, its front side, and then you had to consult the council for that, and looking for some agreements with people who live in this area. Yes, to get the license, right. There was some public hearing prior to that. So you do need to consult local community to open a store. No, you don't have to consult the local community to open the store, but if you want to sell the alcohol, to sell it in small portions, then you need to do this. Did you face any problem of double standards? No. Imagine someone wants to sell something, books, or wine, or anything really, and wants to open up a store. Somewhere in central Moscow. Will it be harder than here in London? How hard will that be? It's different everywhere. For instance, in Moscow it will be way faster. It will be very fast. Yet it can be expensive. I'm talking about the rent, for instance. But salaries and taxes will be more here. Sorry, just 1 second. You said once that iPhone doesn't work properly. The head and hands don't work properly. iPhone works fine. So you said it depends on the type of business and the place. Yes, for instance, in Russia you can always solve the problem with money. You like some store in Russia, you place a pile of money on the table. And a couple of days later, it's a completely different store with different name, different brand, different choice. And it will work. And it doesn't matter if you have any neighbors or if you need some license. You have some quid, go for it. Here it doesn't work this way. But that boosts the business development, doesn't it? Of course it does. That's why the retail is growing while the production is plummeting. Do you miss Russia? Yes, sure. Are you going to go back? No. What do you miss the most? Or who do you miss the most? I need to go to Kivach resort to clean up my liver. But honestly, would be great to walk around Moscow and St. Petersburg. But no plans of going back. No, already told you so. What's the main reason for that? Why don't you want to go back? I won't go back till regime changed. Until it's replaced by the normal one. Would you like your children grow up here in this country? Or in Russia maybe? I'm not sure my children will go back to Russia. We will do whatever we can to provide them with the best education here. We're trying to inculcate them the right ideas and how the world is built. But after all, it's up to them to choose what to do. I believe that everybody chooses for himself where to live. I will never tell them, be a lawyer or a salesman. Cut your hair short or don't do this. Wear black or don't wear black. As parents, our role is showing as many different directions as possible. But at the end of the day, everybody makes his own choice. It's an awful scene to watch when a 30-year-old son totally depends on his parents. His hair might already turn white, but he still wastes his life. How is your English these days? It's bad. Do you practice, learn new words? I do learn new words, but with every one new word I lose 6 old ones. Do you take classes, listen to music or people? No, never. A while ago I used to deal a lot with our extradition lawyers. And when you don't want to go to prison, you learn new words very fast. So now I don't have those lawyers, and the learning process has stopped. Those people around you, are they Russian mostly or somewhere else? Well, there are only 2 Russian-speaking people here among 23 and stuff. Well, this is work. How about your life? Yes, most of them are Russians. Speaking about an average Englishman, what is he like? Is he open or closed, or is he friendly or not friendly enough? How does he deal with foreigners? He's open for everybody. He can call you friend, but he'll never be a real one. He'll never share his secrets. He smiles. He's curious. Very curious. He'll drink with you with great pleasure as long as you pay, and he'll never invite you to his place. And when it comes to oven cooking, he will control every single minute to check if it's possible to switch it earlier to save the electricity bill after all. At his place, yes, but we'll never know, since he'll never invite us. But once at our house, he won't care, and will use it to a full extent. What about English business ethics? It's all about the contract, the original contract that you sign. Everything is in accordance with the contract. If you get good lawyers and a proper detailed contract, then you can keep a friendship with the Englishman. If somehow you manage to miss something in the contract, and your partner can exploit you, he will pat you on the shoulder and say, apologize, but keep taking advantage of this situation as much as possible. Because it's legal, in accordance with the contract. Does an Englishman resemble Russian man in some way? No. Absolutely different. Of course. He is very calm because everything is regulated here. He fastens his seatbelt while driving. Doesn't break anything. But this spring inside of him is under pressure, and one day, at any moment, it can burst. He goes to football game, for instance, and that's where he releases his spring. Do you watch football yourself? Not much recently. Do you have any favorite team? When I was small, my dad used to support Spartak, and I always felt myself like an inadequate. Since then, I don't support anyone. I didn't install this feeling in myself of supporting any team. What sport do you do? I do football as well. You play? Yes, I do. We play with our employees normally, and got 2 teams in yellow and red. The red ones, they're all mixed up with each other. Let's call them Arsenal. The others are yellow. I wear a yellow Brazilian uniform. Brazilian. Yeah, that's right. What do you think about British school system? Since yourself, you studied in Russia and your children, they study here now. Yes, I studied in school for fools. Or at least I attended it. You attended? Yes, I did. Did you pass all the exams? Yes, I did. They had my name on this wall of fame, which said, "School is proud of them." As a first grader. Yes, I used to be a first grader for several times. How about graduation? I got 3 Bs. All the rest are A's. That's right. If you compare Russian schooling system and British one, what's the main difference? If any? Yeah, of course there is one. In Russia they force you to study. Russia is a military unit in this way. They force people to study. They make them study. Here, if you're a fool, it's up to you. It's your way. And it's hard to adapt here. Russian children here, they can't study by themselves. Do they teach entrepreneurship in British schools? In one way or another? Is there mathematics for entrepreneurs or something like this? Yeah, they do have those mathematical exercises, the funny one that have to do with money. So it's not like Masha gave Peter 6 apples. No, Masha doesn't give apples, she sells it here. Does it affect the mind in a good way? Of course it does. That's the good part. So you just mentioned that Englishman is very careful, he lives with this spring that is under pressure. He's not careful, he lives according to the regulations, since his childhood. It is told to him. Imagine an airport, 3 entrances for cars. First, second and third one. There are 7 cars in front of the third entrance. The first and second are available. The car in front of me pulls to the third one. How would you explain that? Well, if everybody is queuing, I'm gonna queue as well. Maybe they will tell me which entrance to take later on. Maybe the first and second entrances are closed, and I'll have to pull back again. If everybody is queuing, I will. Or another example. There is an entrance to the station. 3 machines selling tickets. There is a place for queuing and 3 machines in front. All 7 people are buying from the central machine. No one's buying from the right or the left one. Do you think all that encourages entrepreneurship? No, it doesn't. First, it doesn't. Whatever happens, stay in line. Queue ahead. That's it. Queue ahead, stay in line. That's all you need to know. I hate waiting in queue. I'm ready for any insults. They can say anything, you know, as long as they don't throw eggs at me. Will you go to the second entrance? I'll go to the second entrance, or I can swoop into the existing line. I don't care, it's my old Moscow habit. I can't help myself. Even when they opened up the first McDonald's, I didn't queue. There were 1,000 people queuing. No, I didn't queue. Through someone's help. I can ask someone, wave him and say, "Can I go in front?" By any means, really. And if they don't let me in, I will do it again and again and again. Does that encourage entrepreneurship? Yes, it does, but it can get you to prison as well. So that's the other side of the medal. If not United Kingdom, would you like to work elsewhere? Would you work elsewhere? Asia, Australia, United States? I could work in the United States. Hong Kong. But I'm afraid of them. Why? I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to compete with Chinese. I'm too lazy, slow, clumsy, and my brain doesn't work that well. Everybody talks about China these days. They say that it's going to be a new superpower that will rise very soon. Yeah, that's true. It will be like that. With the new leadership in the country, if they're gonna add more freedoms and human rights, if they follow Deng Xiaoping's course of action, investments, huge circulation of goods and commodities, infrastructure, new factories, transport system. It's amazing there. Any book that you read recently and can recommend to everybody? Book or movie, maybe. I have read Suitcase but Довлатов and enjoyed it a lot. Yes, a lot. There are some immigration issue discussed. Not much, but still. What he brought from Russia. Movie, let me think. I had a gap that I just fixed recently. I watched After Hours by Scorsese. Did you like it? Oh yes, sure. Those are among the recents. Yeah, that's it, I guess. Do you have any recipe of staying happy? Of staying cheerful all the time? Let me try to explain you. Happiness can come to you only in case of harmony, if the situation is in harmony around you. You can build up harmony yourself, or you can try to reach it. But if you have so many needs, if there are lots of things you want to have, or if you're a perfectionist at least in something, or maybe in many things, then you might have so many different needs that it will be very hard or even impossible to reach harmony. And the happiness will drift further away. Though occasionally you might be happy, you might feel even some sort of euphoria on your way. And the very last question. So the more you understand, the less satisfied you are. So it's like the Aristotle circle. The more you know, the more of unknown surrounds you. No. The more you have, the more you want. The more you know and create, the less happy you are if you're a normal person. So it's natural. Yes, I think so. One more question. Are there someone who inspires you? In any area, entrepreneurship, politics, anything really. Maybe someone you learn from. It's the same as question about the football team. If I support any team or not. Sometimes people ask me if I have any idols, or some sort of spiritual leader, and I'm always puzzled. If you asked me the same questions 12 or 15 years ago, I would probably say Jim Morrison, because I used to listen to his music. No, I don't think I have any. By the way, this story about the plane. When you tried to sell the plane while being a student in the university, could you expand on this? What was it like? Because I read it somewhere. In 1992, I joined the Association of Russian Salesmen, where everybody tried to sell something to each other. No one got much tangible real things. but the landline worked fine and free. So we were calling each other and trying to sell different things. Some computers, calculators, tape recorders and stuff like that. And we never saw those things ourselves. You had to go through this. The birthday of capitalism. It's like a pregnant woman who's having the contractions. The same way capitalism is born. So you try to sell the plane. Yeah, some old TU-134, I think. Who was your customer? The same students as myself. So you didn't succeed. No, we failed. I think we were flying on this plane ourselves later on. Yourself? Yes. Can you pilot a plane? No. I can pilot or drive anything, even the car. Well, I can drive the car, but not much. Not much. All those planes, yachts, with complicated screens and buttons and things like that, no way. There are some people, some professionals who like it, who really enjoy doing all those things. So let them do this and let them earn their money. I will just watch around. On our website we have a wall of fame. Wall of fame. I don't know him. Who's that? It's one character we need to invent, I guess. So you have just to put your signature, or any message, or anything you want really, with your own hand. Just press the pen here, and choose anything you want to draw. It will appear on our website later on. So you choose the font here, and the color, or anything you want. And then you draw it with your finger. To erase, press here. Just the same way. Nice app, need to download it for my kids. It's called Penultimate. We don't have another green. Excellent. What was that? Can you show it to the camera? You could put signature on the top. You don't have enough colors here. Well, you can draw a Russian tricolor. It's the Russian app. Too purple, I don't get it. Put some signature. Nah. Just like that. Could you show it to a camera, please? Yes, sure. What they call it when you lose the handwriting ability of yours? That's a good question. Dehandwritization? Or digitalization, since we deal with digits now. And those who are not good with digits? Digital force. That was Evgeny Chichvarkin, and will be, hopefully. That was, is, and will be Yevgeny Chichvarkin, especially for you, Alex Zakharin, into up. Thank you very much indeed.